What is up, guys? This is the last of my videos on sentence combining, and we're going to talk in this video about sentence combining with prepositional phrases. Again, that's one of those concepts that probably sounds a little more complicated than it really is. So first of all, let's kind of review what we did last time. We talked about participial phrases. We defined those and identified them, and then we also used them to add precise details to our sentences. So this time, you're going to understand how prepositional phrases can be used to add precise details to your sentences. You're going to be able to define and identify prepositional phrases, and then you're also going to be able to use prepositional phrases to combine kernel sentences into a more lively sentence. Okay, so first of all, what's a preposition? It's got kind of a complex definition for really a pretty simple thing. A preposition is a word that tells the relationship between a noun and something else. One trick you can use to think about a preposition is it's anywhere a squirrel can be in relation to a tree. So, for example, the squirrel can be on the tree, below the tree, in the tree, between the tree, through the tree. All of the words there in bold and caps are prepositions. Another way you can think about prepositions are if a word is really simple but extremely difficult to define, it might be a preposition. So here are some other examples. Before, after, at, down, across, inside, outside, within, beyond, behind, about, with, toward, of, by, for, and the list goes on and on and on. Okay, let's have a look at prepositional phrases a little bit. So prepositional phrases are phrases with a preposition in it, usually at the beginning of the phrase. It cannot be sentences by themselves. They've got to be parts of sentences, and they describe nouns. So here are, there are 4 examples of prepositional phrases for you. Within the den, toward the end, through the woods, at the game. You'll notice each one of those begins with a preposition. So let's look at a few examples from literature. You'll see that in these examples, I've put the prepositional phrase in red, and the preposition is underlined. Most of these prepositional phrases are at the beginning of sentences. For example, in that place the wind prevailed. But if you look at the last example, the sea is high again today with a thrilling flush of wind, you'll see that prepositional phrases do not have to go at the beginning of sentences. They can come in the middle of a sentence, they can come at the end of the sentence, really anywhere within a sentence. So keep that in mind. Go ahead and pause this and read over these examples and jot them down. Okay, let's just kind of test your knowledge at this point. So I want you to go ahead and underline the prepositional phrases in these sentences. First of all, around here the winters can be brutal. And then second, the rabbit lived in a hole in the ground. Where's the prepositional phrase? Go ahead and write down these sentences and underline the prepositional phrase. Okay, so this is what you should have underlined. At this point, if that's not what you had underlined, you're going to want to go back and double check the definition of prepositional phrases. So let's go ahead and try a couple combinations. You'll see on the left-hand side I've got a few kernel sentences. Really pretty straightforward. And then on the right-hand side I have a few different combinations of those. So the kernels read, he did something in a hurry. He ran down to the cafeteria and got into the line. He did this as he had done daily. The line he got into was for pizza. So I could start a sentence with a prepositional phrase there. In a hurry, he ran down to the cafeteria and got into the line as he had done daily for pizza. I could have the prepositional phrase later. As he had done daily, he ran down to the cafeteria in a hurry and got into the line for pizza. So here again, well, I guess, we have prepositional phrases at the front of both of those sentences. Okay, so now it's your turn to try it. Go ahead and jot down these kernel sentences, and I want you to combine them using I want you to try to get a prepositional phrase at the front of at least one of your sentences. But go ahead and combine these, make 2 different combinations of these sentences, and underline your prepositional phrases, and then we'll check those together. So at this point, pause the video, write down the kernel sentences, and then combine them with a prepositional phrase at the front of at least one of your combinations. Okay, so at this point you should really understand what a prepositional phrase is. You should be able to identify and define it. And you should be able to use prepositional phrases to combine kernel sentences. In particular, you want to think about how using a prepositional phrase at the front of a sentence can really give you precise details and kind of lead into the sentence well. As always, make sure you write down any questions you have, and we will talk about those together. Thanks, guys.